Terence, when did you know that you were going to beat him over here on your left?
When he signed the contract.
Why the hell was old Canelo Alvarez take the rematch? All right, why would he start negotiating? And there's a few things going on here. Number one, there was a rematch clause.
Listen, however they rate me, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we got to fight, and I'm going to win the fight. It's simple as that.
I try it, but my body just no let me go.
Major developments are now unfolding as Canelo Alvarez has reportedly decided to trigger the rematch option. The Mexican superstar is now pushing for another showdown with Terence Crawford, with a fight being targeted for May 2026. But this goes far beyond a routine rematch announcement. For Canelo, this appears to be a desperate move to reclaim his status at the very top of boxing once again.
As TV Azteca, Mexican boxing channel, is reporting that 4-division world champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, first ballot Hall of Famer, Mexican superstar boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is 63 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws, 39 wins by way of knockout, has indeed now, after suffering another loss, after having surgery on his elbow, he is now of the mindset that he can overcome the mountain that it was in September in the form of 5-division world champion, 3-division undisputed world champion, pound for pound king, #1 fighter in the world, first ballot Hall of Famer, superstar boxer, Terence "Bud" Crawford.
The big question now is whether Canelo is truly looking for redemption or if he is walking straight into another brutal defeat that could damage his legacy even further. Either way, the situation has already thrown the boxing world into complete turmoil ever since the loss in September. Team Alvarez have remained unusually quiet. The lack of response only fueled more speculation across the sport. That silence finally came to an end during an unexpected appearance on Mexican television. Canelo showed up on TV Azteca's Los Protagonistas, but the version of him viewers saw felt completely different from the composed and business-minded star fans have known for years. According to reports from the broadcast, Canelo made it clear that his main focus is securing another fight with Terence Crawford. There was nothing indirect about his comments either. He openly revealed that discussions for a 2026 rematch are already in motion and emphasized that he is determined to make the fight happen no matter what it takes.
I'm not bull-jiving. Listen, Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Terence "Bud" Crawford in negotiations to happen 2026, the rematch. And let me tell you something.
The words "at all costs" reveal far more than people may realize. For years, Canelo has entered negotiations with full control, often setting conditions like catch weights and rehydration clauses to protect his advantage. But now, according to sources connected to the situation, he appears willing to set those demands aside if it guarantees another opportunity against Crawford. The video, spreading quickly across X, formerly called Twitter, has only intensified the discussion. In that footage, Canelo does not look relaxed or satisfied. He looks focused, serious, and fully committed to making this rematch happen no matter what stands in the way.
Can you describe what it all means to you to have, you just made like a whole resume of stuff tonight?
It means a lot to me because, anybody can be a nobody, like I said, and that's all they say I've been fighting is nobodies. So what can they say now? Somebody tell me, what can you say now?
You can say congratulations.
That's it. What can you say? Any words? I bet you did.
He is not searching for a softer opponent or a simple money fight against a routine mandatory contender. His attention is locked entirely on the one fighter who stripped away his aura and made him appear human inside the ring.
I believe they have a rematch clause. I'm not sure exactly. I'm sure there's some kind of wording because Canelo doesn't enter a fight without some kind of wording in terms of a rematch clause. But he's just not going to beat Terence Crawford. It's the style's all wrong for him, the movement's all wrong for him. And that's what I said. Going into the fight, I really believe Crawford would win in the style that he did.
But what is driving this obsession in the first place? To answer that, we need to go back to the night everything changed. September 13th, 2025. What was expected to be another massive Mexican Independence Day showcase for Canelo Alvarez quickly turned into something nobody saw coming. Before the fight, the storyline seemed completely one-sided. Most people believed Terence Crawford was taking an enormous risk by moving up 3 divisions to challenge the ruler of the super middleweight division. The common opinion was that Bud had pushed himself too far and that the size difference would eventually overwhelm him inside the ring.
Excuse my language. The size difference of a bigger man changes everything with one punch. And I can see the same thing. Canelo Alvarez will take any punch from Crawford, but I don't think Crawford will take any punches from Canelo. Remember, Canelo got hit by Triple G, the heaviest hitter in that division. And Canelo took those shots like a champ. I don't think Crawford has anything to beat Canelo.
As far as they say, who's pound for pound, right? This fight will say that, but who has Crawford really beat? Postal? Gamboa? Gamboa wasn't the same after he fought him, but I feel Burns. Look at Canelo's resume. Cotto, Triple G, the list goes on and on. Austin Trout. A lot of world champions, bro. So I feel that's how you measure how great a fighter is through that. So we'll see. But I just feel his resume is he's gonna come in this fight, be able to figure out Crawford. So we'll see.
Once the fight got underway, the difference in size stopped meaning anything. What truly mattered was a gap in skill. Crawford did not merely defeat Canelo. He systematically tore apart the image of an unbeatable champion. The final scorecards made the domination impossible to ignore, with the Omaha fighter taking 11 of the 12 rounds. There was no sudden knockout and no fortunate punch that changed the outcome. It was simply round after round of technical brilliance, as Crawford delivered a complete boxing breakdown over the course of the entire fight.
I want to ask you a little bit about the history that you made tonight, and I want your opinion on which means the most to you. You became a 5-division world champion. You became the 3rd of 4-division lineal champion with Mayweather and Pacquiao. You became a 3-time undisputed champion, the first ever in the 2, 3, or 4 belt era. And you became the 2nd undisputed champion in 3 weight classes when there was only 1 champion back in 1938 with Henry Armstrong. That's a lot of stuff.
You hear that? You hear that?
Which do you think means
all
the most?
And all of it. It all goes hand in hand.
You know what? Sometimes you try and your body cannot go, right? That's my frustration. Maybe I can figure out Crawford, but my body cannot go anymore. So
throughout the fight, Crawford controlled the middle of the ring with complete confidence. He forced Canelo into mistakes, countered him repeatedly, and gradually imposed his will on the naturally bigger fighter until the entire pace of the match belonged to him. What makes the situation even more ironic is everything that was said before the fight ever happened. For years, Canelo brushed Crawford aside, claiming he had never faced elite opposition at that level and arguing that he was simply too small to compete. But when they finally shared the ring under the brightest lights, it was a smaller fighter who applied the pressure and took control of the man once viewed as a division's intimidator.
Don't get me wrong, okay? He's a good fighter, a great fighter. I always say before I see him calling me out and won the fight and everything, I say before he's a great fighter. But if you look at his career, mention one elite fighter. Just mention me one elite fighter.
Get your reaction to Terence, what he did. That's another crazy thing, right?
No, that's not crazy. No, I say it's not crazy because I predicted. I said Canelo was going to get old in the ring that night. No disrespect to Crawford. He did a good. Crawford could have stopped him. He could have. Me being a coach and watching how the fight was going on, he could have stopped him. And I know he's saying it in his mind, but he was being humble of Canelo. He was being humble, and it was a great fight, and it was good talk for the boxing world. And that's what it's all about, to entertain, to get us something to look at. We've been entertained like this for years, for centuries, of gladiators and stuff, going in the ring, representing their fans.
This is where the entire situation starts getting complicated. Months before the first fight took place in June 2025, Terence Crawford already seemed to anticipate how the aftermath would unfold. During an interview that later exploded across social media, Crawford stared directly into the camera and delivered a clear message aimed at Canelo that he said he wanted Canelo at his absolute best and made it clear that he did not want any excuses afterward. Crawford specifically warned against hearing claims about weight issues, draining conditions, or physical problems once the fight was over and the result was final.
Can I ask you about if there's any rematch clause with this fight with Canelo?
No, it's not.
Is that something you pushed for?
No, I didn't.
And there's any weight restrictions to the fight at all?
No, it's not.
A lot of fighters would like to put on a weight restriction to this type of fight. Why didn't you want to do that?
Because I want him at his best. I don't want no excuses. I don't want no, reasons why, he didn't feel good or anything. I want him at his best.
Terence, when did you know that you were going to beat him? Over here on your left.
When he signed the contract.
He seemed to focus mostly on body punches, and you were hitting him in the head a lot. Was it your reach that gave you the advantage?
It was everything. He wasn't hitting the body or anything. He was hitting my elbow because I was blocking it. But, I think I was the better man tonight.
Crawford wanted the result to leave no room for debate or explanation afterward. But now, the very type of excuses he predicted are beginning to surface. Reports coming from people around Canelo's team claim he stepped into the September fight dealing with a damaged elbow, an issue serious enough that surgery was reportedly needed immediately after the contest ended. That is exactly the kind of storyline Crawford said he did not want to hear once the fight was over.
Now, Saul Canelo Alvarez also, last time you saw him, he's, nursing and recovering from an elbow surgery, which he had an elbow injury going into the fight. So, you start thinking about stuff like that. I'm talking about if you Canelo, why would you say, let's go ahead with the rematch? I think I got a shot. All right. Being a competitor for one. All right. And number two, the fight was closer technically than you thought because you were in there. And in there, you felt like you were getting your ass whipped. And number three, you went in there nursing an elbow injury. So it's like, I think I may have a chance as I'm 100% healthy. All right. He feels the same way about Bivol because he had a wrist injury going into the Bivol fight. So it's just, you think about all those things. I'm like, let me give myself a shot.
By suggesting that he entered the fight less than fully healthy, Canelo appears to be pushing the idea that the outcome would have been different if he had been at his best. It feels like an attempt to convince both himself and the boxing public that a completely healthy version of him changes the entire fight. But many fans are not accepting that explanation. Across social media, the reaction has largely been negative, with many people viewing it as a sign of weakness rather than legitimate reason for the loss. To a lot of observers, it seems like Canelo walked directly into the mental game Crawford set up long before the fight even happened. And by bringing injuries into the conversation, Canelo is unintentionally taking attention away from Crawford's dominant performance. That has only intensified the debate surrounding a rematch and added even more tension to an already explosive rivalry.
Why the hell would Saul Canelo Alvarez take the rematch? All right, why would he start negotiating? And there's a few things going on here. Number one, there was a rematch clause. And I do know right after the fight, Saul Canelo Alvarez was like, there was nothing I could do with him. But I think what happens is you start to sit back. Let me look at the fights. Let me think about this. The fight was closer than I thought. That's what Canelo's thinking, right? Because technically it was. All right, when you think about the copy boxes, put a pin in that. We all know Terence Crawford whooped that man's ass 11 rounds to 1 in reality, all right? But if you count, punches, landed or copy box, statistically, technically, it was a closer fight, okay?
The reason this defeat hits differently is because fans have already seen Canelo come up short before. He lost to Floyd Mayweather back in 2013, and he was beaten by Dmitry Bivol in 2022. But neither of those losses carried the same feeling surrounding this one that when he faced Mayweather, Canelo was still young and developing, stepping into the ring without the experience he would later build throughout his career. Against Bivol, many people pointed to the size difference since he was challenging a naturally bigger light heavyweight. This situation is much harder to explain away. Canelo was competing in a division where he was considered strongest, facing a fighter who originally began his professional journey at lightweight. That is why so many people view this loss as far more damaging to his legacy than the defeats that came before it.
The Mexican ancestors of the past who normally resurrect from their graves, and their spirits is in the building to give that great Mexican warrior the energy and the power that he needs to overcome the battle. Well, that didn't work this time. The slim, skinny, dark-skinned dude from Omaha, Nebraska beat you in front of all of those people. So Canelo got to get it back in blood. I respect that, Nello. Go back and do your thing, run it back, and see what you could do differently. You dig? Y'all let me know, what do you think about this Canelo rumored to want to rematch Terence Crawford in his next fight? Peace.
And then just as it got a bit closer at the weigh-in, I was like, my heart was like, nah, Canelo's got this, you know. And but deep down, I kind of knew that it was all wrong for him. And to be honest with you, Canelo knew it was all wrong for him. You know, I had the conversation with Canelo Alvarez probably, I don't know, a year ago, about Terence Crawford, and he was like, "Nah, why would I fight Terence Crawford?" Like, you know, he hates that style. And when he fought Charlo, I remember him being really disappointed that Charlo just moved and moved and moved. And that's why he ended up fighting Munguia and Berlanga, because they're guys that wouldn't do that and they'd stand in front of him, and that suits him down to the ground. Anyone that's got movement like Skull, like Crawford, like, you know, he really struggles against. And when he was a bit younger and fresher, he could probably get away with it and cut it off, and, you know, but then you see guys like Bivol and, you know, Crawford and these guys beat him because of that movement. And I don't know what he does again. I mean, you know, the biggest money fight out there for him is the rematch with Crawford.
People close to the situation are saying that Canelo has struggled to come to terms with a defeat. According to those reports, the loss continues to bother him deeply, creating an obsession with getting revenge inside the ring. Several boxing analysts and commentators have shared similar views, believing the result affected him on a personal level far beyond a normal loss. For Canelo, the idea of walking away from the sport while knowing that a lean fighter from Omaha took away his dominance appears difficult to accept. The entire situation is starting to resemble past boxing legends who kept chasing redemption long after logic suggested otherwise. Right now, this push for a rematch feels fueled more by emotion and pride than by careful decision-making.